Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is still early in its storytelling journey, and already, fans of both Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory are watching closely to see how the new series handles the future of the Cooper family. The show is full of heart, humor, and grounded slice-of-life storytelling, but there's a heartbreaking piece of canon from The Big Bang Theory that it simply can't explore yet. Even though we all know it's coming someday, the writers will need time, possibly several seasons, before they can properly handle one of the saddest reveals in the Cooper family storyline. That heartbreaking story is the tragic fallout between Georgie and Sheldon following the death of their father, George Sr. In The Big Bang Theory. We learn that Sheldon didn't attend their father's funeral, and Georgie has carried a deep resentment toward him for years because of that choice. It's one of those rare moments where the usually comedic dynamic between the brothers suddenly feels heavy and real. And once it was established in the canon, Young Sheldon later worked carefully to build toward the event with emotional weight and accuracy. But now that Georgie and Mandy's first marriage picks up after George Sr.'s passing, fans might expect the tension between the brothers to rise quickly. After all, the funeral has already happened. The moment that triggered the family fracture is now behind them chronologically. So why can't the show tell this story yet? Why isn't the conflict front and center right away? The reason is simple. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage isn't a story about Sheldon. It's about Georgie, Mandy, and the difficult foundations of a young marriage. The show is about learning to balance love with responsibility, growing up faster than expected, and doing the best you can even when you barely have your own life figured out. If the writers shift the emotional focus too soon toward Sheldon's absence and the resentment that festers because of it, they risk overshadowing the show's true purpose. This early stage of the spin-off needs to let Georgie breathe. It needs to define him independently, not as the brother who resented Sheldon, not as the kid who just lost his dad, but as a man trying to build something of his own. If this new show immediately leans into anger and heartbreak, it could strip Georgie of his chance to show his growth and potential before those darker moments challenge him again. There's also the natural pacing of grief to consider. Even in real life, resentment doesn't explode the moment a tragedy happens. Sometimes people push through, stay busy, and avoid confronting their emotional pain until later, when things calm down and the dust settles. That feels especially true for Georgie.
He is a provider now. He has a baby.
He owns a business. He simply doesn't have the luxury of processing everything at once. So while we, as the audience, know a massive emotional crack exists in the Cooper brothers' relationship, the characters themselves aren't ready to face it yet. That tension needs to simmer quietly in the background, growing with time, not erupting instantly. Another major factor is how The Big Bang Theory framed the family history. When Sheldon talks about that falling out moment, it's clear that years have passed before the two speak again. That means Georgie and Mandy's first marriage must preserve that timeline. The resentment can't peak early or resolve quickly, because Sheldon and Georgie's estrangement is supposed to stretch far into adulthood. If the show addressed that storyline now, it would force the writers to jump ahead or alter established canon, something the franchise avoids at all costs. There's also the question of tone. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is a comedy at heart, a relatable sitcom grounded in young family chaos. Diving too deeply into this painful chapter too soon risks shifting the show into something far heavier than it needs to be right now. Heartbreak has its place, and this franchise knows exactly how to deliver emotional gut punches when the time is right. Young Sheldon's final season proved that. But the tone has to evolve naturally. The audience needs to be emotionally invested in this family again before the writers take them into darker territory. And perhaps the biggest reason the show should wait is that the payoff will be stronger later. The longer we spend watching Georgie build his life, working hard to support Mandy and Cece, trying to experience real success for the first time, attempting to grow past the mistakes he made as a teenager, the harder it will hit when that relationship cracks wide open. When Georgie finally confronts what he lost, what Sheldon wasn't there for, and how he was affected by that abandonment, the audience will feel that heartbreak in a much deeper way. We already know where this leads. The brothers eventually rebuild their relationship in The Big Bang Theory. Georgie forgives Sheldon. He learns to appreciate him again. But those years of silence and resentment are important. They shape who Georgie becomes. That wound defines part of his adulthood. So yes, one day, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage will need to face the fallout of George Sr.'s death and Sheldon's absence. One day, the emotional explosion will become one of the most powerful arcs in the show. But that day should not be today. Right now, the show's job is to celebrate the strength in Georgie's resilience. To show him learning, stumbling, supporting, and growing, not breaking. Not yet. Even though viewers who followed Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory already know what's coming, the journey still matters. The writers are giving Georgie the chance to become someone worth rooting for before they test his heart again. And when the time finally comes, when that tension erupts, the story will be stronger, the heartbreak will be earned, and the audience will be right there sharing the weight of it. Because sometimes, even when you know the ending, watching how a character gets there is the most important part of the story.